Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity to share with you some of my thoughts and some of the things that we are looking at the University of Illinois. A disclaimer, Rick and I did not exchange ideas about what we're going to be presenting today, but you will see lots of resonance of the things that I'm saying and we're doing at Illinois with what you heard from Rick. And this is not coincidental. We have been working very closely with Olin over the years, almost 10 years now, learning from them, taking many of the things that they have done and bringing them to the next level, scale them up in a long-run institution, and vice versa. I believe sharing with Olin some of the challenges that engineering education faces and asking them to innovate in their startup that is going very strong. Waiting for. So I would like to start by reminding you that we are living in very interesting times and actually very challenging times. I would like to begin by reminding you that in the beginning of this year at the Davos summit, the topic of the conversation was the fourth revolution. And the fourth industrial revolution, the way it was presented, was in the light of tremendous opportunity to build on the success of the third revolution, the third industrial revolution, that involved things like the breakthroughs of digital technology, the fact that we are in an interconnected world today with significant innovations happening in nanotechnology, in 3D printing, in AI, the list goes on. And the message was very simple. The fourth industrial revolution will disrupt every industry and has the potential to improve quality of life at a global scale. But at the same time that this was happening, a professor at Northwestern University published the result of a book that he was been working on for a while. And Robert Gordon said, well, United States of America is in trouble. The great days of innovation in this country are behind us. And moving forward, because of these four headwinds that he identified that all of us can relate to, demographics, education, debt, and inequality, unless we innovate at a much higher pace than ever before, the future is difficult. And he was talking about the United States of America in particular, but many of the things he was saying actually address the entire world. I say that because the message from both of these contradictory, if you wish, approach is the same. Innovation is key if we are serious about taking advantage of the opportunities presented to us. And, you know, one of the things that I am very proud of being affiliated with a long-run institution is that even when the long-run institutions were established, the message has not changed. And when I were working with Olin College, I was forced to rethink of what is the mission of the long-run institution. And I summarize with this very simple sentence. We prosper through discovery and innovation, and through education, we would put prosperity to good use. I think this summarizes something that is very unique about the long-run institution and has been the foundation of the American Research University. And I want to talk about this because, you know, the NAE grand challenges that were put forward, each one of them, I think of them as a goose that will lay many golden eggs. But at the same time, and the most important thing, is each one of them inspires people, inspires faculty, inspires students, inspires parents. And this is something that we cannot forget as we think about the future of what we do with education. These challenges are so inspirational that some of the most controversial voices almost 10 years ago are changing their minds. I mentioned Peter Thiel, who some of you may remember about 10 years ago, came out and said, I'm going to pay students to drop out of school and come and work with me to innovate. And now, just before the climate summit in Paris, he comes out and says, we have to be serious about the hard technologies. And he published an article in which he was advocating for nuclear power. And he was fully aware of the fact that somebody asked about, I think Dr. Sullivan asked, how many nuclear engineering programs are in the country? He was aware of the fact that if nuclear power is going to be part of the conversation, we need to rely on the institutions that provide that knowledge, that training for innovations to happen in that space. So some of these challenges that we are faced with are inspiring people and change people's minds. And that is something that is an opportunity for us. And all of those challenges are grand global challenges. It is not only the United States, it's the rest of the world is thinking about this. And University of Illinois, like many other universities, is partnering with places around the world to pursue things that we cannot do alone. Or better said, if we join forces, because of the different socioeconomic and geopolitical realities around the world, we can actually achieve much greater results of our efforts. So I want to come back to what we do in higher education. And one of my predecessors, Dean Bill Everett, had published a paper about 50 years ago in which he talked about engineering education in 2012. So he wrote this paper in 1962, and he predicted everything that we are doing today in an amazing way. And he talked about education and training. And you notice how when he talked about education, he repeated the same things that you heard from Rick: a broader development of the mind and personality, a guided enlargement of creativity and understanding. And of course, training was training people, developing the skills they need to have in order to deliver in their discipline. And then you heard about the Google effect from Rick. Again, we didn't exchange ideas before, but the Google effect is alive and well with all our students and all our faculty. And that Google effect is powerful. If you think of what this allows us to do, how much it frees up time for faculty to engage with students, it's an opportunity that we cannot miss. Knowledge is accessible now in ways that was never before. I mean, the nice thing about going on the website of NASA and playing with the Curiosity robot and seeing how it moves around reminds you of the fact that we can have surgery operated remotely. We can do things and we can learn about things that in the past, they were mission impossible. And that is another great opportunity for us. And I say that because there is never before an opportunity for higher education to take advantage of the fact that education, training, and research have to come together. How many of us try to find ways to make sure that all our undergraduate students have opportunities to get exposed to research? And why are we doing that? First of all, because the students want it. Second, because the faculty want it. Who doesn't want more creative, curious minds contributing to finding answers to difficult problems? And third, and most important, these are the kinds of experiences where make people comfortable with the fact that we don't have all the answers. That those faculty members that go into the classroom and teach, they can be asked questions for which they will say, well, I'm sorry, I do not know the answer, and feel comfortable with it. So another thing I want to remind us all is the fact that the way we have been doing things, and I think Kathy mentioned that very carefully, is a way that oftentimes suffocates creativity and weird thinking. And Professor Gopnik is a professor at UC Berkeley, and she has been an advocate promoter of finding ways for education to not force minds to think one specific way. And that is something that is very challenging. How do you allow people, no matter how much they get to know and learn, to become comfortable thinking about weird things? Now, we do it with our graduate students, and many of our undergraduate students come in and they want to do something that is impossible, and so do we tell them, oh no, you cannot do that? Never. We know that, all of us know that. How do we make it part of who we are and how we operate? The other thing that I want to say along these lines is the issue of how important it is for all of us who are excited about taking science and turning it into technology and success to be aware of what it is that people want. Rick mentioned that very carefully about the fact that at the end of the day, a product will be successful only if it matters to people. And I will tell you that if you work for Intel, one of the most formidable people is Dr. Bell, because She's an anthropologist, but she's the one who decides whether Intel will go forward with the product or not. And how she decides that relies on her proactive development of understanding of how different products matter to people in different parts of the world. We do this thing, and we have been challenging ourselves. Many of us deans know that with the grand challenges, we have been forced to think of education outside the norm that we use today. One of the examples that I will share from our school is the Illinois Cancer Scholars. These are freshmen coming to school, and we asked them from day one to tell us what is that they want to do. And some of them articulate the fact that they are becoming engineers because they want to cure cancer. And we bring that cohort together, and from day one, we immerse them in an experience that, in addition to what they are learning in their specific discipline, provides them with the opportunity to learn of what are the unanswered questions on cancer right now, where they need to go and get information, and so on. So that immersion into something that they're passionate about from day one, and supporting that throughout their undergraduate experience, goes a long way toward turning some of these minds into amazing innovators and passionate innovators at that. We talked about design, and design is becoming one of those catalyzing elements on campuses where people come together, they bring in their own expertise, engineers bring their own disciplinary approach to doing things, business folks are bringing their way of thinking about the viability of a product. The rest of the campus comes in and says, well, what are the things that really matter? And having these design centers as a catalyst for energizing the campus, bringing the entire community together in ways that has not happened before, in ways that eliminates those silos that have gotten in the way, I think is one of the most exciting opportunities for us. At Illinois, we try to emphasize this as, again, a catalyzing force that will bring together faculty and students to learn across the disciplines. We believe there is much more to be done there that we do not know yet. And the whole idea is, let's view this as a startup. I want to finish by telling you that I'm a firm believer in the challenges we face. It is our role to educate as many innovators as we can, no matter where they are. No matter where they are. The United States of America has always been a driver of this new way of thinking about higher education. Many of the things we do in this country have been replicated around the world. I think it's about time for us to rethink of what is the new model. How do you bring, through the higher education recipe, the world together to think about this challenge? Because at the end of the day, our numbers are growing, the challenges will never stop, and the most important thing, there are so many young people who want to be part of solving those challenges. Thank you very much.